2, taking off from where we left off last week, where Solomon just became the king.
He's the king. He did it, and he didn't kill his brother yet.
Or his dad.
Yet.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I guess we're jumping right in.
We can do whatever we want.
We need Bundy today.
Mm.
I think so. This chapter has a lot of puts a lot of expectations on the table, and I just was curious. Do you have moments where are there ever too many or too much communication of expectations, or is it always not enough? Or I don't know. What is your expectations experience?
I think it's two-sided because, like, if somebody doesn't communicate expectations, then of course you don't know, which can lead to one issue. I also feel like if you over-communicate expectations, it can start feeling like they don't trust you.
Yeah,
like they're micromanaging or something like that. So there's like a sweet spot in it, which sucks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, is that you can I was thinking of it in the realm of like the reply all surrounding stuff. Like,
You love reply all.
I hate reply all. And I know it can be, just wanting everyone to know exactly each step of the things that I'm doing. And I don't know, I have a slight disdain of that. It becomes too much.
Too much. I like reply all.
Yeah, because you don't look at it, you just have it then.
I just like to know what's happening. And one of my biggest irritators is when I go, I have no idea what's happening and I don't know how to find the information. I have to talk to somebody.
Voice function.
Yeah.
But the expectations that David gives to Solomon, which are viewed as being expectations that are, like, this is a win for David in his life. He has had some highs and lows throughout his life as being king, and this was a moment he tells Solomon, you need to be strong and mature, you need to be obedient, and you need to be faithful. And these expectations are, there's two layers of it. He says, here are the expectations from God, and if you do these things, there's blessing that comes from it. Those two layers. But I don't know, maybe I thinking about each of these, I immediately I went to, well, David, I can point out to each of these things and say, I can point out a moment when you were not very mature. I can say, here's a point where you were not very obedient, and here's a place where you were not faithful.
Sure.
And so another layer of expectations is that, I'm just curious, how do you process like expectations in the midst of imperfection? Because that, maybe are the only expectation. If you have an expectation that it comes from perfection, maybe you could never hear expectations, or I don't know. I just feel like those are fighting words. So how do you have grace for expectations? Rich doesn't have it.
Grace for expectations?
Grace and failures of expectations.
Oh, failures of expectation. Well, I think if the expectation is voiced and the expectations are out there, then failure and expectation just can lead to conversation and moving forward. I think when there's failure of an unvoiced expectation, that's when the end of the world happens.
End of the world?
Relationally. Not the end. Not the end of the world, but I got the response I wanted out of that statement.
Yeah. Ty?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I have mixed feelings because, like, part of it is like, if expectations are voiced, it's all. Yeah, where my mixed feelings come in is like, sometimes it's not a matter of like the expectation being voiced or not. Sometimes it's like going back to, okay, we set this goal, we set this expectation, and it not being met isn't necessarily a failure of the person, but it's like like we set the bar too high, or we set the wrong
Mm.
goal, or we're measured like so. So yeah, so sometimes it's like, all right, we didn't meet the expectation. So like, where did it fall apart? That's like opportunity, like you said, like conversation. But yeah, because like I think when I was younger, it would be just like we just be able to do it, and I'm moving away from that. Maybe working with college kids has been good for me.
Well, I think
Is it required to like? I'm trying to think of when you talk about expectations, it can feel like sometimes that it's like a manager type of relationship, and I don't. And so I'm trying to like break it down. Like there are obviously in those types of relationships, there's clearer expectations, but I think like in any relationship, over time there starts to be more and more expectations.
for sure.
And I guess it's not always. I think that's where the uncommunicated expectations can happen. Is like you start to make assumptions. Assumptions are expectations that are not communicated. Maybe
The hardest part of close relationship with people is when you start to expect things that you don't vocalize, but then because you're in close relationship and there's more contact and more communication and all of that, then there's a moment where you get mad about something you didn't say, so they didn't know, and then because it's the assumption thing, and then it gets messy.
Yeah,
but it's So I you said manager. I think at one point there could be like in a work environment there could be this person does this thing and I expect them to do it because this is their job. And then there's in relationship it's like, well, I'm expecting because I know this person, I'm expecting them to do this thing. And if you've had a conversation or joked about it or whatever, they're going to expect you to expect to do that. Expect them to do that. But then it gets deeper and deeper into because I know this person, I'm going to expect them to do this. But if they don't and you get mad, there's no baseline.
Yeah.
There's no way for you to, and that's where grace gets hard. I guess that's where I was going.
Yeah. But so just to put, again, this was some of the complexity that I thought of is that David, who had issues with maturity, with obedience and being faithful, is telling his son a message from God to be mature, be obedient, and be faithful. And so how does it can it break people's expectations or messages from God when the messenger is broken?
Well, with David, there were a lot of times when he was faithful. He was, and there,
That's good.
you look at we tend to look at the times when he failed, but then you kind of look at all the times that he was and say, well, on the whole, he probably was more, did it more successfully than not.
Yeah, I think it can, but maybe it shouldn't.
Yeah,
I think I think it's really easy to have unrealistic expectations of other people.
For the communicator of expectations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think I think if you think you're never going to be frustrated or let down by the people closest to you, you are
About to be
setting poor expectations for yourself. I don't think that's, and so it's not, I don't even think the emphasis of life is to like always communicate expectations or make sure that expectations are met, but actually just get good at dealing when you have unrealistic expectations of those around you. Like, let's figure out how I handle that.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought this and this didn't happen. I should either talk to them or realize that I was stupid or it's a personal problem most often.
And that's the hard part is when you have unvocalized, unrealistic expectations and then get mad when they don't get met, then you have to turn around and go, that was my bad. Like I was an idiot. But we don't because we're idiots sometimes.
Well, it's like the person that is like constantly finding a new job and then complaining about where they work. And so they try to find a new job. And you just have the moment you're like, hey, Just so you know, the only constant in this picture is you. And so, like, if you're constantly having the same frustration in multiple relationships of your life,
Yeah.
hey, you're the constant.
Yep.
Start there.
Common denominator.
It's not saying that it's impossible that a similar situation isn't playing out, but maybe you have some responsibility in it.
Yeah, I love thinking about Jesus just wrecking the people in his world's expectations when he touched the man with leprosy. That was like there had to be a gasp in the room. It wasn't in the room, but on the street. They're like, "What is he doing?" When he had called Levi, Matthew, to be his disciple, and then immediately has a party, a banquet at his house, and there he was eating with tax collectors, and even just to the point of at the end of his life when he washed the disciples' feet. I mean, you'd think that the disciples would be like pretty acclimated to Jesus exploding everything that they expected and breaking all the things that they expected, and then there he was at the Passover meal, putting a towel around or his robe around his neck or his waist, and then washing the disciples' feet. And so broken expectations are not always for the worst,
No.
but they are have even an expectation like that of washing the disciples' feet. It caused Peter to freak out, and so sometimes I think we freak out in that way as well.
Oh man, I can just picture the eye contact. Like they're walking and there's a leper, and Jesus walks over to the leper and just looks at the disciples.
Yep, touching it.
Jesus touch.
Well, and at the point of Kings repeatedly is, I mean, it's these authorities. I mean, we're starting the end of David's life and then Solomon picking up, and Solomon is going to be this king of great wisdom and peace, but he too has failings. But in each of these things, maturity, to see the maturity that Jesus had, I think of the moment when, like, ultimate maturity to me is at the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus prays, please take this cup from me, but not my will, but your will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, wow, what a picture of maturity. I think about the picture of being obedient, and obedience is not just simple compliance. It goes so much farther than that. But when Jesus was being arrested, and again, this moment when Peter had cut off one of the people that came to grab him's ears, and in the midst of that, Jesus goes and heals him. Again, what a picture of again this maturity and obedience. His tempting, when he was brought up to the three temptations after his fasting, he had lots of needs, and being obedient when you have lots of needs is hard. And he said, it's not about bread alone. It's not about God protecting me. It's not having the whole world worship me. He was very faithful and obedient in that. And then faithfulness, again, Jesus's continual mindset of, again, that he loved us and he loved God completely. And anyways, Jesus is the ultimate picture of these expectations, and our call to be Christ-like. We're going to have faults and failures, but Solomon was given these expectations, and we are as well, as we're called to be Christ-like.
And sometimes expectations come with kind of viewed with grace, because it's an expectation not that we'll be able to do it 100% of the time, but that we will strive toward that, and that it stretches us. And because there's some things that Jesus told the disciples to do. I can't hit that mark 100% of the time, but in the process of trying, they grew, and and so there's sometimes someone who is a good leader will put expectations on their people that are not necessarily achievable, but there's a different goal in mind.
Trajectory.
It's it's about the trajectory, exactly.
And then to complete the equation, which is can be a little uncomfortable, but then I think there's an incredible fix to it. Is that, in David's directive, he says, and if you do these things, you'll be blessed beyond imagination. And that can be make me a little twitchy, because then it's performative to receive something. But again, we got to go back to Jesus's words and the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. He goes, oh yeah, if you do these things, you'll be blessed. And you know what blessed is? Blessed is when you need God. Blessed is when you are meek and humbled, and when you are righteous and you need mercy, and when you're persecuted. That's blessed. And so again, if you have, I'm going to be faithful so that I can be a wealthy king. Well, I want to be faithful, and in that faithfulness be blessed, as Jesus calls us to be blessed in the Beatitudes.
Got anything to add, Rich?
I love the talking about expectations within relationship, the idea, the picture of Jesus and Peter on the beach, and Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep. Oh, okay. Like, it's an expectation. Peter, do you love me? Like, feed my sheep. And I think that in that relationship, Peter was like, what? Like, what are we doing here? but the key is not the expectation. The key is the relationship. And I think that's in all of this, we see growth. We see people trying to do good. We see grace, and we get to do it. And in relationship, it's easy to break expectation and easier to rebuild expectation because of relationship.
Yeah, that's good.
So feed my sheep.
Feed my sheep.
We'll see you guys next week.